Okay, for this video, we're going to go ahead and just go through the process um, of getting our face for animation. So here's a model I found online, a completely free model, and I downloaded it. I actually even put a link. I'm going to hit skip because it can't find the texture, but I don't have the texture. Um, I put a link to it in our course shell. So when I bring this in, first of all, it's a little small. So when I imported it, I could change some of the import settings, but if I want to change the size, I can do it max. If we're going to do the scale tool though, and I'm going to move it up a little too, well, you do have to do one more step. So one thing that's really dangerous, funky, weird about using the scale tool in max is the scale tool works, but it didn't actually change the size of this model technically. It just scaled it up, which means that the actual size of this model is still small. It's just a certain percentage range bigger in scale. To make those changes permanent, I actually have to go to the gears over here, actually the wrench guy, and click Reset X Form and click Reset. That's going to reset this model to its actual sizing to be correct. Now we can actually convert this over to like editable poly and we can work with it all we want. Again, this is a model I found online. It's missing eyeballs, so I'm probably going to need to add in some eyes or something, or it's going to start looking really freaky. Already, I feel like incompleted models already kind of look a little bit spooky. This is a very low polygon model, which is kind of really good for what we want. And I'll show you, there's a couple of really cool tricks and reasons why you might pick a really simple model for an animation. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and I'll just do an instance, it's fine. Make some eyeballs and fill them in here. So this would be the same as if I actually created the head myself. I just, for speed and efficiency, figure we'd grab one online. It's not the best model in the world, but it's not terrible. Now I will show you one thing that's really cool. So if you haven't really played with Turbo Smooth, remember that the modifiers in Max are very powerful tools. You can see here with the modifier turned on, let me go ahead and turn back off edged faces. You can see here's that same model, and we can even go 2 iterations, and look how smooth and nice that face looks versus the original, the true geometry down here. This is an old animator trick. Again, very common to see the face made in kind of a lower resolution version. We can always pull in the eye a little bit because it's still clipping a bit. Again, we're going to use that lower resolution model to animate, but we're going to view this model when we're all done. So again, what's really cool about using Turbo Smooth or another tool to create a higher resolution model is if we keep it a modifier, then really we're saving ourselves a whole lot of work. If you've seen the other video where I used the Mixamo tool to create a head, which again, I love that tool and it did a really wonderful job, but the one that kind of isn't the best about that is the head's already super complex. This head is wonderfully low resolution, which means we can animate this one with very few vertices, but still see that finished Turbo Smooth model. So let me go ahead and delete that Turbo Smooth modifier. We put our eyes in there. It's looking pretty good. Let's grab our head. And for this one, for the other video, again, if you're watching the other video first, I went ahead and had all the heads stacked on top of each other. We definitely have to pick copy for this. Instance will not work. So make sure it's set to copy. And then we'll just make, let's say, like 5 or 4 copies. And here we go. Now, one thing why I like this head is it is super duper low resolution, which means I can modify this head without having to move a whole lot of vertexes. So for example, here I'm just kind of modifying a little bit. In this instance, we're just kind of closing the eyes a little. Again, this part could take a lot of time. I'm going to be pretty quick about it. Okay, I will say that if you're doing this for your own head and you're really wanting to make sure it looks good, it can definitely take a lot longer to get the head to where you're happy with. Now, I also am going to cut through a little bit, and the reason why is this. Remember, we're going to put the Turbo Smooth modifier on here. So if I put that Turbo Smooth modifier and put 2 iterations, I can see how the eyes close. So there's still a little bit a little bit clipping through. So maybe we'll grab this and lower it down a little. Again, one of the best parts about 3ds Max is I can edit the low polygon mesh, which here is represented in gold, and see the end result. And because, again, this modifier is not permanent, I can just remove it when we're done. So, again, if I wanted to make this model smiling or something, again, we can kind of make those adjustments. Maybe I want to do, I think there's a border here. So again, we'll lower that down, and maybe we'll grab this guy and do, what do I want? Ring? No, not ring, loop. Yeah, loop. Kind of bring it down as well. So here I have the mouth closed, eyes closed of this model. Again, we'll go ahead and remove the Turbo Smooth modifier again, go back to our basic model, and go to the next one. So I'm going to keep doing this, and I'm just going to modify these shapes, this model as much as I want. We'll do grow, and then I'm going to unselect the top mouth parts there. That's some ugly clipping, so we definitely need to modify that a little bit. Again, we can look at the finished model and see if it's not horrible in clipping, but we can probably assume that it's going to still have issues. So we've got these vertexes clipping through, which we definitely don't want. We'll pull those back. It's looking pretty good. It looks like we need to move these guys around a bit too. Oops. Now, I will say this process can take a while, so again, I'm gonna try to be as quick as I can for this video, but I don't want to just skip ahead completely, because you might find it useful to see, well, how am I moving these pieces? How am I modifying them? What are we manipulating? What are we changing, etc. Yeah, it looks like. Those are weird, right? We got something funky happening here. Aha. That should not be pulled back, and we accidentally pulled a piece back that maybe we shouldn't have. Now, part of the reason why I use the Mixamo model in the other example is because making these different mouth shapes can take a long time. Okay. So if you're like, man, this is taking a long time, yeah, it can take a long time. You want it to look nice, ideally. So if we're making this for an actual animation project we're wanting to use, or a game we're developing, we want to make sure we're doing a good job. Okay, that looks pretty good. It's probably close enough when we add our Turbo Smooth modifier. If we want to turn that on and see what 2 iterations of Turbo Smooth is going to get us. Yeah, it could be better. It's fine though. We'll just say it's fine. Okay, so we can just keep doing that with these different heads, but we don't have to, get them all done before we add them. So let's go back to this one here. We're going to add our Morpher Modifier. Now, if you look here, notice that I've removed the Turbo Smooth modifier, and I'm going to come down here. I'm going to click. I can either do multiple targets at once if I'm ready, because I do have this one, which is cube 1, and this one, cube 2, ready to go. Or I can do them one at a time by clicking Pick Object from Scene. So if I do Pick Object here for slot 1, go to slot 2, pick object from scene, pick 2, and now you can see here they've loaded. Again, we can see our animation play. Now again, the real power here with this low polygon model is I can animate it underneath the Turbo Smooth modifier. So here, if I want to go back to my Morpher, we can see, there it is. Now, it looks like I do have some issue with the eyes clipping through. This is like if you ever watch Toy Story and you start seeing some freaky stuff like people's things clipping through each other and all this stuff. That's real common. Again, it can sometimes be really difficult to not have those animation errors. But I can pull this out a bit. It doesn't live update. I need to come back over here, go back to my Morpher, pick the head object, and we'll do a reload. So you can see there now it's got the changes. Again, if I pulled it out too far because it looks pretty alien, maybe I need to fix it a little more. Making your own head like this and making all the different shapes yourself can take a while. You know, again, if you watch the other video, or if you're watching this one first and you haven't watched it, take a look at our Mixamo video. In there you can see a lot of these face shapes are already pre-built into the Fuse software. So if you're wanting to use your own head for this assignment, great. If you're wanting to use something like you found online like this head, that works too. If you want to make a head inside of Fuse for the assignment, absolutely okay to do that as well. But this is the same process we would follow, and we would continue making different mouth shapes and designs for heads. And we can load a lot of targets. So if I go back to my Morpher here, you can see, you know, we can go all the way down here to 100 different models we can load. So you could technically make 100 different models to do things. And you can even use this Morpher for other fun things, like if you wanted to show someone melting or transforming from like a human to a wolf. That would be hard because you'd have to take this model with all of these vertices and not rename them, not change them, but modify them to look like the new shape. But it's doable. Again, you can do a lot of really neat stuff with this Morpher, and it can be pretty versatile. So hopefully you found this helpful. You know, I know some people were having trouble with this assignment. You know, so hopefully these videos are a little bit more useful. And thank you for watching to the end.